Going. Ooh. I constantly forget this damn wire here. The wire. I always forget this damn wire. Welcome everybody to another edition of Tackle Shop Live. What up, Patrick Kingray? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, man. Dilbert, what's going on, man? How you doing? What's up, Mark? How you doing, buddy? Lane the Fisherman's here. Yeah, man. Bob Donahue, how you doing, Bob? TP 2273. Shope. Tim McSee, how are you doing, buddy? Yeah, we're ready for a good Thursday night show, man. Good to see everybody. Conway, Matthew Weimer, how are you guys doing? Lime Green Fishing Machine is here. How you guys doing? Robert Mills, Mark from Lisa Lake, how you doing, buddy? Mike Hayer, what's happening? Carlisle, how you been? I haven't seen you around, pal. Edward Ranowski, Don Roeder, hi, Don. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, man. Geo Miller. Wow, everybody's here tonight. Hey, listen, we got a great show tonight. We're going to be talking some crankbaits. We're going to be talking about some crankbait fishing. We love it. Been seeing a lot of guys doing that here on TV the last couple of weeks, so we're going to bust into that. Talk about all aspects of cranking, square bills in the springtime. You know, what do you do with all that stuff? How you do it? Where, when, why, and how. And then George and I's favorite, some of the favorite stuff that we like to throw and that we've been having success on. We're going to go over that. And then we have a great tackle talk section, of course, talking about the newbies and new stuff, the hot new stuff from all the different companies coming through the door. So that's fun. And then Rig of the Week. Of course, we have our Rig of the Week, and we're going to be doing that today. So, man, we got a lot of stuff going on. And back in the house, home from the vacation, far, far away, Mr. Cameraman Nick Wink here. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back. You know what? Although I could have spent some more time fishing. You never have enough time fishing, Mike.
I know you, man. You're probably pulling your teeth when you had to leave, man. It was like, man, I don't want to go.
I know. I'm thinking of every reason why I could like call off another day or something. But anyways, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad we didn't get hit with the storm that they said we were going to.
Yeah.
Because it makes me feel like we're closer to fishing here too.
So when you were driving, did you run into any kind of weather at all? That
I ran into, once I got into Northern Virginia, there was a dusting. Nothing ever on the road all the way home.
Okay, good.
So it was really good. Now, if I probably would have left earlier, I would have hit it in the morning.
Yeah.
But by the time I got in Pennsylvania around, lunchtime on Monday, everything was pretty much thawed out. And,
good.
And, wet. But that was about it.
That's scary towing a boat in that snow, man.
Oh, I thought, here we go. Now, if I would have been further north or further to the east, it might have got ugly.
Yeah.
I got lucky.
Yeah.
Our buddy GDP didn't get so lucky where he lives.
No, he got pounded. He got snow. And he's the guy that always says, "Oh, it's 80 degrees down here in the middle of December."
Right.
Well, I'm glad we reversed on him big time.
Right.
So tell us, you caught a lot of fish.
We caught a lot of fish, and it was funny because and I was saying this on pre-tackle shop a little bit, and you're going to know exactly what I'm saying. Heading down south to Florida, when you get there, it's 80 degrees.
Yeah.
And my brain's telling me the past couple weeks has been really cold even down there. And that now we have this warm snap. They're going to be up on beds, and it's going to just be lights out.
Yeah.
Sight fishing.
Yeah.
But when you get down there, it's not always what you think it's going to be.
Yeah, sure.
And next thing you know, the beds are filled with small fish.
Yeah.
And you either continue to do that or you go, we got to find something else.
Yeah.
And, you got to make those decisions, and then you go for them pre-spawn fish, and then you find the right one.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting because many times we force what we think instead of what's really going on.
Well, didn't you, we had some personal bests broken down there.
Yep. I had an 8.4 for me.
Is that your PB?
That's my new PB.
You're right.
That was awesome.
That's a giant, man.
I mean, when you're flipping 5 feet away from the boat and an 8-pounder, I mean, come on, it's like a small child.
That is so much fun.
And then my kid on the last day at Lake Toho on a Kissimmee chain, he got his PB, which was a 6.7.
That's a giant too,
and
man.
that was on a chatterbait, and he was just so pumped up.
Yeah.
And it was just great that we got to experience that together.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you had a good time, Nick. We were cussing you the whole time. You were
that's good.
Sending us pictures.
My ears were ringing quite a while, so I don't know.
Yeah, we were talking about you. I mean, every time you put a picture out there, we would be like, "Man, look at that son of a gun down there catching them." You know.
I thought maybe you're the guys that sent those bugs down there.
Oh, I saw those bugs, man. That was horrible.
Well, George said he dealt with that already too. The flats get
flats get really bad, and I'm telling you, how about it, George? They ran us off a couple times when we had to start the motor up and run because they're terrible.
Hydrilla gnats.
Didn't you have a buff?
No.
You didn't have buffs?
I'm one of them guys that has to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
But it didn't take me long. I said to Mason, after today, we will be going and getting a head net. And we had it. But it's that wind. If the wind is there, you don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to worry about it, right?
That day it was just as dead calm as I've ever seen.
Yeah. Boy, those bugs were all over. That was terrible. So, man, good to see everybody here. Jeff Santangelo, Chris Shoplock. How you doing, Chris? Good to see you, buddy. Scott Van Leer, how's everything going, Scott? Good to see you. And Gary Kalick, hey, man, good to see you stopping in. Appreciate everybody stopping. This is Tackle Shop Live. My name is Mike Acord. This is George Acord. Behind the camera is cameraman Nick. We come at you every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. For anybody that's new, we appreciate you stopping in. This is a fishing show. We love talking fishing. We love talking tackle, and that's what we do. Cabin Fever Sale, Nick, is coming up this week or next weekend, March 6th and 7th. And
I had a panic attack there thinking it was this weekend.
No, it's next weekend, Friday and Saturday. It's our biggest sales event of the year. It's our longest lasting sale that we've had since I think it's 36 years old. And it's one that we really pull all the stoppers out and blow out a bunch of tackle. And it's a great time to stock up your tackle boxes and take advantage of some awesome sale prices. But this year, George, we have a special deal going on. We have the Shimano Rod and Reel Roadshow coming. So they're going to be coming in and it's they're going to be talking tech, real tech. They're going to be talking rod tech. They're going to be answering all your questions on the Shimano. So they're going to be here. And then along with that, with all the purchases with Shimano, you're getting all kinds of cool stuff. So you're going to want to be here for that, for sure, to see that. So that's on March 6th and 7th. And then they're also bringing Alex Davis, who's going to be doing some great seminars and then just hanging out in here and talking. And he is one of the best to talk to, a really serious guy.
The Rod and Reel Roadshow.
Yeah.
Has a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
And Alex Davis, who is a tour pro.
Yeah.
From Gunnersville, Alabama, also a full-time guide on Gunnersville. That sucks. He'll be here as the head master of the roadshow.
Yep.
We will have our Shimano team in place. We will have about a 5 or 6 man crew there.
Mm-hmm.
But also another nice touch of the Cabin Fever sale, especially if you want to talk fishing, you want to talk tackle, you got some specific questions. I mean, we have a full pro team here of tech people and knowledgeable anglers and pro staff from Daiwa. We have representatives that know what they're talking about, that fish as much or as more than most of us.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be here from Missile, AFCO.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I'm probably going to forget somebody. How about NetBait, BKK, all the frog companies, Snagproof, Scum Frog. We got that guy here.
Yeah.
How about Mustad Hooks?
Oh yeah.
We got that guy here.
Sunline.
Yeah, Sunline.
Yeah.
We got that guy here.
Yeah.
And not to mention GDP.
Yep.
Not to mention Gray Buck.
Great buck.
Not to mention Alex Davis. See, I have to look at my notes because there's so many.
Yeah.
Not to mention Jeff Little.
Jeff Little.
You know, one of the pioneers of kayak bassin.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't just mean on the Susquehanna River. I mean kayak bassin.
Yeah. You know, he's a real special guy. He's a very technical guy, very scientific guy when it comes to fishing. And he's going to have a great seminar for both days, Friday and Saturday, that you guys don't want to miss. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you're definitely going to want to check in for that. That is March 6th and 7th, next weekend. Be here. You don't want to miss it. It's our last big giant hurrah for the year. As far as our big tent seminar series goes, we're going to be doing events all year long, but I'm just saying they're going to be a lot on a smaller scale, and you're not going to have those great learning opportunities that we always bring to you. So you definitely want to get here. We get people from 6-7 hours away, so I don't want to hear it. Just drive in, you know, just come on in. It's worth it. It's a good time, and we got plenty of hotels in the area. You can book a room and stay overnight.
I'll tell you what else. Bring your quiet money with you. Not that change. Bring that folders. Bring them folders, because I can't even really. There's some rod deals that we can't advertise.
Yeah.
But let's just say you're going to want to be here for them.
Yeah.
Because there's some stuff that's. Let's just say we work some deals, and there's some stuff that's going to be like.
Yeah.
Deep
discounts. Yeah, it's the one you want to come to. It's a stock up mission, and you know, we'd love to see you guys. The last one we had on the Frosty, what do we call that? The Frosty Smallmouth Saturday event. You met a lot of people from the show and who traveled in, and we appreciate that. It was really nice to see everybody and shake hands and do all that kind of stuff. So there you have it. And then mark your calendars for SummerSlam tournament. I know everybody keeps asking me. The SummerSlam tournament for 2026 is May the 17th. Mark your calendars. That's the biggest, greatest tournament on the East Coast. And we'll have all that information for you roll in here in just a couple of days. You know, we're going to have that up and running. And you guys are going to be able to see what it's all about, and it's a lot of fun. So we'll talk a lot more about that to come. All right, so here we go. And this, Nick, you know, we're a tackle shop.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and you know what we like to do?
Talk tackle.
We like to talk tackle, and this is our favorite segment, and we call this segment Tackle Talk. Wowzer. We love talking tackle, and we got some great stuff to talk about. George, what do you got going on in the world of new, fascinating tackle that we can't live without?
Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. But first, I have a little shout out.
Oh.
Before I jump in, because me, you, and cameraman Nick are going to discuss some things here that are on the next level. But before that, I think we need to recognize and give a shout out to our good friend, Captain Carl Bunch.
Holy crud, Captain Carl Bunch.
He's in the chat.
Wow, Carl.
He's an old school
man.
Old school SFT cool. Friend.
Oh, absolutely.
In a past life, he was an SFT pro staffer.
Captain on the bay.
Yeah, great guy.
Everything.
Great guy.
Pioneered all kinds of cool techniques. Carl, good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you, pal.
Thanks for stopping in, man.
All right, so guys, I'm like you guys put the pressure on me every week to have new or just interesting tackle talk,
Yes.
as well as the rig of the week. Okay, so I mean, let's just say
It's not that
not
bad.
everybody's cut out for this kind of work, but I think I rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
So as I was getting ready for this one, I was also getting ready for next week.
Yeah.
Because I have some stuff next week that I think is going to be like just as cool. But, I've been watching these tournaments and, they get my head spinning. And I really focus in on how these guys are breaking down the lakes because they're big. And the weather is just crazy. I mean, they're the weather from their practice to the tournament or vice versa. A red light or a green light. I mean, it's just it's insane. I can't imagine this year being a tour angler for the last 3 weeks. It's just insane. We have a couple tournaments going on right now, and same thing. Just like insane weather, but with pressure and challenge, the cream rises to the top. And these guys are the best that there are. And so we can learn. So I'm watching them. They're shaking minnows. They are shaking minnows, and they are shaking dice, and they are shaking koikis. And, I mean, we're going to get into all that next week. But they're shaking a lot of minnows. And a couple takeaways is, there's a trend towards bigger minnows. 5 is like average, 6, 7, 8-inch minnows, depending on the fishery. Like I was watching that Bass Open on Rayburn, and I mean the young man that won it, Pake South, he almost broke 100 pounds in 3 days. He had 2 limits over 30 pounds. He was carrying his fish to the scale in 2 bags, and he was shaking a pretty big minnow. Not only that, but he was also, and he didn't want to talk about it, but the camera doesn't lie, he was also on a koiki. And next week we're going to talk about koikis and dice and rigging, because anglers, they're going to innovate. And we're going to bring you some pretty cool rigging options next week and a whole lesson on that. But a lot of koiki, a lot of bigger minnows. So with that being said, I would like to introduce you all to the Hideup brand, who makes the koiki.
Yeah.
Which is a primo JDM brand. And I'd like to introduce you to the Judy fish. And to me, I think it's like koiki meets minnow. So you got 8 of these legs here. Of course, when they pour them, they're kind of, gated together. So you got to separate them out like that. Here's one up here. You got a little over 5-inch, like 5 1/4. But look at that color, man. That is like, that is just a 2-tone, proven killer shaddy color. You got like a green pumpkin. You got, now I'm going to tell you right now, this is color number 293. And if you go to our website, you'll be able to see what that is. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
They do great colors, man, at JDM stuff.
Got a little scent to it.
Of course.
But this is a great shaken. This is a great shaken minnow. This is also, I'm really looking forward to fishing this weightless. But this bait, when you see video of this bait, it rolls big time when you shake it. So this has been a really, like, I'm not going to use the word secret, but it's been hush hush. Look at this. Look at that. But you got these eight tentacles on this tail, on this body, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting.
And, all that's going to be flowing back there. Look at this electric type grape. Blue grape. Look at this like electric type shad. That's color 141. I don't know. I'd have wrote the name on there. And then just for something with a little violet in it. Let's kind of take that first one and put some violet in it. That's the Hideup Judy fish. And I got to tell you, we're out of stock on stuff more than we're in stock on stuff from this Hideup brand, but the frustration's worth it because the product is great. 4-count pack, $16.99. A little pricey, but it's kind of like that's how it rolls in that world. That's just how it rolls. Okay, it's just the way it is. Yeah, so it's a great minnow bait for shaking. It's also, to me, I love fishing a fluke. I think it's going to be a real interesting fluke style bait, and we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah, no doubt.
So the other thing that I've been finding out in these tournaments, is especially, and you expect it early, but like we had the Elite Series on Guntersville. That was a cranking, trapping, chatterbaiting. We had, a couple tournaments since then that had featured some good rattle trap work. And, the one that we've been hearing so much about is the Rapala Snare. So I got snares for you this week. So here's a Snare 50. Now, I want to give you some size comparison. So I got my trusty trap box here, and I'm going to grab some stuff that you guys probably are aware of, like the Aruku shad. Okay, so this is a 1/2 ounce.
2 1/4.
2 1/4. Number 4 VMC round bends. Here's a 5/8 ounce Aruku. Just for size, just to give you, sometimes it's hard to visualize the size of these baits, right? How about a red eye shad? Let's compare it to a red eye shad. And this one's going to be just a standard tungsten 2-tap, 1/2 ounce tungsten 2-tap. Pretty close. Still a little smaller, but not much.
Not quite as broad, I think. It's just amazing how compact that snare really is, and it's a 1/2 ounce. It's pretty cool.
Size comparison. So you got a 1/2 ounce, and let's do a sound comparison. So here's your red eye shad. Boy, I'll tell you what, these hooks are sticking me. Okay, so here's a red eye shad. We're going to do a sound comparison. Snare. Red eye. Snare.
Definitely different.
Higher pitch.
Higher
right?
pitch. Yep.
Okay, that was fun. Let's continue the experiments.
Yeah.
Aruku.
Sexy.
Snare.
Oh, that's different. Oh.
Different, huh?
Yeah.
All right, let's go OG.
Rattle
Let's
trap.
get our old Bill Lewis rattle trap. Because I still carry them. I still use them.
Yeah. No wonder that thing's so good. Yeah.
It's kind of like a little bit of it's kind of like a little bit of a.
I hope everybody's hearing that because you can tell all the differences between all of them. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Look at these colors now. This is a red crawl. That's a pretty standard Rapala color. Pretty cool. How about classic crawl? You got some orange on the belly, dark back, darker red, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How about Diablo? Right?
That's real bright with a kind of pinkish belly to it.
It's kind of how it's been going the last few years.
Yeah.
You got a little purple on the back. Okay. That's our red family. Now let's look at a chartreuse. Root beer crawl.
Chartreuse crawl.
Chartreuse root beer crawl.
Yeah.
Chartreuse root beer crawl.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they have a regular one, right? Yep, that one.
Hold up.
Freaking hooks are getting
Root beer crawl.
And I'll tell you that the hooks on that, George, are really good quality hooks.
They're VMC.
VMC number 4 is very, very
Round
sticky.
bends.
Round bends. Very sticky. You can fish them right out of the pack for sure.
Okay. Now we're going to do some shads. This one right here is badass. Ghost Sexy. I don't know if that's what they call it, but I might have made my own name up. Ghost Sexy.
Yeah.
That's badass. And now we're going to compare that with one of the better efficient clear water colors. I don't care anything Rapala has, and this is called Green Gizzard. This is a good clear water color. I've had really good success on their Green Gizzards.
Oh, yeah.
Really good. And then here we have the chromes. And of course, no collection is complete without a gold and a chrome blue. These are your plated. You got to have them plated. They got to be a good gold, chrome blue. Got to have that orange on the belly. I mean, this is a classic right here. That's your snare. Now, let me give you the stats. It's a 1/2 ounce, as Mike said. It's 2 1/4 inches long. Number 4 VMC black nickel round bend hooks, and it's $8.49.
Not bad.
It's not bad.
Mm-mm.
It's not bad. Now, we have not fished it yet. We just recently got them in, and we're suffering from ice.
Nice.
But we will.
Yeah.
We will be snaring it up here in a very near future.
Yeah.
We're going to start out, of course, with the lipless crankbait, which is for me, it's a confidence thing. It's a definite. I mean, we throw the lipless.
Yeah.
Hey, Nick, let me ask you. Were you chunking lipless down in Florida?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, because we got on an outside edge. I was telling you guys, it was a certain type of grass. I can't remember what it's called. It's like stringy. But if you went...
Kissimmee grass.
That's what it was. So that if you went out from that, you had submerged hydrilla. And if you would clip a lipless or a chatterbait type, that's what they were eating. So, yeah, absolutely.
They like that lipless down there.
Yeah, and I would have liked to have a couple of them.
Well, all you had to do was call.
I know.
I'd have had them there the next
red ones,
day.
Nick?
What's that?
You throw red ones or what?
No, I was more into the shad type patterns.
Mm-hmm.
But now, yeah, I mean, that's what I was throwing. I did not throw red, but I
You know
will
what-
be this spring.
Yeah.
Here, I will be throwing red.
You know what's famous in Florida for lipless color? Chartreuse.
Oh, yeah.
Chartreuse with a green back.
Really?
Famous in Florida.
Wow.
You know what else is famous in Florida for a lipless color? Possibly even more famous? Gold.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know gold is.
Famous.
Yep.
Well, a lot of those lakes have a little bit of a tea color to them.
Yeah.
And gold's really good in that, and so is chartreuse.
Well, you always got the golden shiner, so they're always looking for that, too.
And the gold's good in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the snare. It's been it's been getting a lot of press, obviously, because Rapala's got a stacked pro staff. you ever sit and wonder like the amount of tackle that a pro staff like Rapala's pro staff orders in a year's time?
That's probably crazy.
Like, I'm a buyer here, so I relate to it like from a forecasting standpoint of view. I try to forecast, tackle sales so that I can accurately buy. You don't want to underbuy, but you don't want to overbuy. You almost have to be like, you got to have like make a deal with the devil or something. But, Rapala's got to be like, they got forecasters that are just world class and they're global. But just think about like when they're doing their forecasting, they're like, oh, and on top of that, we're going to need another 5,000 units of this particular snare.
Right.
We're going to need, 60,000 bags of Crush City. Because, if you look at Crush City and you look at Rapala's pro staff, think about the plastics that dominate just bass fishing.
Well, George, all you got to do is watch like Canal. You watch Atafo. Like if you watch their social media and they do their garage, just look in the background.
Yeah.
It's just full of everything.
Yeah.
But think about it. You got Zoom.
Yeah.
You got Z-Man. You got Berkeley. Let's just stop. Yamamoto. Okay, let's just stop there. You got 4 of the biggest, most established powerhouse soft plastics brands in the history of bass fishing. Okay. And then you got 500 smaller brands. And then Rapala says, you know what? We're going to start a soft plastics company and we're going to roll up into the world and we're going to take over a considerable chunk of market share, which is why you got to have this pro staff. And they have to go out and do what they're doing. Like I was watching this Rayburn tournament. I was astonished at the number of guys scoping with a freeloader.
Yeah.
Like legit. And so I started scrolling back and forth through about 5 tournaments. The amount of Crush City plastics between Mooch Minnows and freeloaders. You know what, guys? We're going to start a car company.
Yeah.
And we're going to position ourselves between Ford and Chevy. And we're going to take a considerable chunk of their market share. Kind of like Tesla did.
Yeah.
So very interesting, hypothetical sidebar. But yeah.
Guys, I wanted to ask you something about this snare or any lipless. What is your favorite retrieve on a lipless? Is it a crank, just cast out and crank in, or what do you guys like?
I'm gonna hear Mike's take on this. Now, are we fishing over grass?
You choose. You pick the scenario and how you like to fish that bait.
A lipless in the spring.
Yep, whatever.
Yeah. Once the water in the grass starts coming up, like I'm going to talk about fishing over top of grass. I like to just dead reel it and just kind of use my rod to kind of up and down it and get it to catch the tops of the grasses and just load up a little bit and then snatch it loose. That's and cover a good section of water by just chucking up in there, reeling it down at a certain speed, mess with my speed, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, come up with the right speed. But I want to be snagging that grass. I love that, man. Just rip it free and tunk. You get that awesome bite after you pop it loose. It flashes and then you boom, you kind of catch up to your line. There's a fish on there. That's just the way I love that. That's my favorite way to catch them in the springtime.
What they're doing
is on grass flats.
They're knocking slack in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
I love that bite, man. That's like one of the best. So that happens in the 50s, when the water's in the 50s and the fish are all getting on those big flats and those big grass flats like we fish.
Right.
And I really like that. That's a largemouth technique that I use for that. I mean, George will talk about, I'm sure, another way of fishing them, but it's just so much fun. It's such a great bite. You can cover a lot of water. It's interesting all day long. You're not just,
Well, I think one of the keys too that you said there is using your rod to manipulate where that bait's going to be going.
Yeah, because your speed's important. Sometimes they want it, really coming, but if you don't have your rod low enough, then you're pulling it up too far above the grass. So if you're really bringing it, you got to lower the rod tip real close down towards the water so that you start catching that grass, the top of that grass. Vice versa, if you slow down, you might have to raise your rod high to keep that thing hitting that grass because you're reeling it much slower. So that'll help keep it up and just catch the top of the grass. And that's really what you want to do. You don't want to catch all the grass, but you want to catch the highest pieces. And because those bass are laying right on top of it, or just in it a little bit. And they're just sitting there, and if something comes zipping by them, they're not going to. But if they get something to trigger by ripping it out of the grass and that thing flashes and then kind of falls a little bit, and then you catch up to that slack, they already got it, man. They see that, and they're already moved and got it. And then that's when that rod just loads up and you really get into it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tried and true, proven grass ripping retrieve.
Yeah.
But notice he's not just ripping grass. He's feathering it and ripping it, seeing what they want. Do they want you to feather it or they want you to rip it? And that's a great pre-spawn to early spawn retrieve. You got to have the right tackle. It's no place for 10-pound line.
Mm-mm.
You want to have 15 to 20-pound line. And you want to have, if you're fishing a glass rod, you want a medium heavy. You want something with some balls to it. I actually, in that scenario, I don't fish a glass rod. I don't even fish a crankbait rod. In that scenario, my system is built around a 7-foot medium, fast tapered, multi-purpose rod. A rod that I use for everything from throwing a spook to trapping. Because when I'm in the grass, I just want to be able to just pluck it. And I'm not fishing braid. I don't like to fish braid in that scenario. Now, my early season, when I'm going to go out and start snaring, my snare testing program, I love a early season yo-yo retrieve. I've said it 8 million times on here. It's a practiced art. It's extremely effective. And you can you can modify it. You can have a little wind in it. But for most part, it's hit the bottom, bring it up, follow it down. You can't just slack it. You're semi-slacking it. So it takes some focus. But I love that. Hit the bottom, tunk, pop it up. I'm not smoking it. I'm just stroking it. Follow it down. Man, if that works, I'm in, baby. I'm in.
Yeah.
I've got, and that's why, I'm a big time Aruku and Jackal TN70 guy because they are nose divers. And for yo-yo, and I really like a nose diver.
Yeah.
I want to see what this bait does. Because you don't have to have a nosedive bait for yo-yo.
No.
Sometimes we've had extremely good success with a red-eye shad, which is a level faller, and a LV 500, which is also kind of a level faller. Sometimes that, but those are the exceptions to the rule, right?
Yeah.
And in that situation where I'm not fishing grass, a lot of times when I do that yo-yo retrieve, it's 50-50, but a lot of times I am fishing a crankbait rod. I'm either fishing a medium heavy moderate. I love the Loomis CBR. And what I mean by moderate is it's just got that big. Get that tip for me, Mike.
Got that big slow, and see it bends all the way back into here and loads up.
And then back here it locks up.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite crankbait rods. It's carbon graphite. It's an IMX Pro. They make it in an 843 or an
43 and
843 and an 845.
Yeah.
I like the 845. The 843's got plenty of
Mhm.
power. I've always liked my rods to be a little more
Yeah.
on the heavier side. I'll tell you another one that's really good for it. The St. Croix Victory, medium heavy moderate. Okay.
Big bend.
Now I am going to give props where props are due. Being cutting my teeth on that Loomis rod. This is a pretty damn good rod right here. It's very, very similar. This is a really good rod for cranking and a great rod for yo-yo. And I'm not crazy about it in grass, but then I'm not crazy about crankbait rods in grass. And then my third rod is a combination of glass and carbon. This is, of course, a Zodius. And they also make this in their Crucial and their X-Pride in about 7 or 8 models. This is a 7-foot medium glass. Softer in the tip, a little slower. Great for yo-yoing, great for trapping, open water, great cranking rod, which we're going to talk about tonight. But yeah, to get kind of deep into your question there, Nick. How about you?
Well, to go back to what I was doing down in Florida was exactly what Mike was talking about. I was fishing around vegetation. I didn't want to be deep into it, but I wanted to tick that top and get that reaction strike because that's all you're doing. If we would just wind either the chatterbait or the lipless, you didn't get many bites. It was when you kind of got hung up and you ripped. So to your point, George, I think if we would have used a glass rod or something like that, it would have been really hard to rip that out.
It is.
So
unless it's a heavier rod.
Exactly. So
or a longer rod.
Yeah. So what you're telling everybody here, having the right equipment for those different scenarios is absolutely.
One thing you can do to overcome that in grass is you can go to a 7.5 foot. If you like that glass rod, you go to a 7.5 foot, like medium heavy. Now you have a substantial amount of power. You're overkill for what you're doing, but you clean it in the grass real good. It's a matter of efficiency.
Yeah.
It's a matter of efficiency.
Yeah. And George, one more thing. On your technique of the yo-yo, you're not fishing 15 to 20 pound like Mike was, right?
Well, in cold water, when it's cold and I'm fishing more open, I will drop all the ways down to 10. Okay. Because cold water is typically very clear and I find I get more bites that way. But if it's dingy, dirty water, I go right to 15.
Yeah.
There's no benefit to a thin line in that situation right there.
Yeah. Well, one of the guys was saying, well, wouldn't a chatterbait do the same thing? And, my answer to that is, a chatterbait kind of has the same resemblance of a rattle trap, but you got to realize it's totally different. I mean, it's kind of like there's going to be days where the chatterbait is the chosen bait to fish over top of the vegetation, like Nick and I are talking about. And then there's going to be days where the rattle trap will outperform that for whatever reasons, the size, the color, the flash, maybe it's
sound.
The sound is different, so yeah. You heard Nick say he was throwing 1 minute he's throwing a rattle trap and maybe his son was back there throwing the chatterbait right behind him, and different fish eat different baits. So it's kind of like that. It was cool. I think that's why the chatterbait really has become a staple in everybody's boxes, because of that vibration and that sound and that vibration. And it kind of does what a rattle trap originally set out to do, noise, vibration, tight vibration in the water. So it's a great one to have on the deck right next to your lipless, and to introduce on and off throughout the day, or even on that same spot.
And with that, Mike, as we're getting closer to fishing up here, if you're going to be fishing with somebody, whether you're in a tournament or just fishing,
Yeah.
don't throw the same bait they're throwing.
Yeah.
If they're throwing that lipless, try the chatterbait or vice versa.
Absolutely.
You don't be afraid to do something different.
Absolutely. I mean, one fish sees one thing, another fish will see something totally different that'll trigger a strike. All you're doing is trying to trigger a strike. Let's just get that straight. You're not, it's called tricking a fish. That's what fishing is. It's tricking a fish. So it's the reaction that you're trying to get, and you're trying to figure out what's the best bait to get that reaction. So, but that doesn't mean that you could be fishing along and Nick's catching them on a rattle trap and you're right behind him with a chatterbait. You're not, and you could be catching as many or bigger. They might be bigger or they might be smaller. You'll see the difference for the day. So pretty cool.
It's not a lot of days we go out there and lock one rod in our hands. We might chatterbait an area for a while, and then we might, if we get the proper response, we might go back through it with a lipless, or vice versa. Or we might be on the hunt, and we might go through grass, rock, all of it, trying to figure out the bite.
Yeah. So you want to throw them all, and the rattle trap, I'm telling you,
in the spring,
you put the rattle trap in your hand and you put the chatterbait in your hand in the spring, and that's pretty much what
the chatterbait has taken the trap out of a lot of people's hands, and I'm fine with that.
And that's a huge mistake.
That's fine with that.
That's a huge
because
mistake.
I'm trapping them suckers up for the next couple months, loving every second of it. All right, guys, that was a great discussion there, and
what else you got? Anything new?
Stand by, son.
Set it up.
I mean, we're going to talk some cranking tonight, and I feel like we just did.
Yeah,
we're gonna go.
That's a good start.
Into the weeds on that.
Yeah.
But I would like to say, we've been talking a lot about in the shop here on seems like every day of the week for a long time now. Swim baits, glide baits. We're very, very much into it, enjoying it. There's new people joining every day that are like, man, I really want to throw swim baits. I really want to throw glide baits.
Yeah.
I'm confused. And, we're going to break that down for you. But at the end of the day, one of the things that's going to really become an issue for you is bait storage.
Yeah. That's a situation.
Last week,
we talked about that.
We did.
We sleeves.
Talked about the Spro Serpra
sleeves
collab
Yep.
on the sleeves. And I told you I was going to take it somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, here it is.
Yeah. Yep.
Look at that. So now we have Rapala Rapid Pouch. And we have our glide baits in sleeves.
Yep.
And we're not conforming. We're not trying to conform because I've been keeping mine in the deep box, which is fine. I have this one has dividers in it. I have some that are open and they work great. But, the deep box is bulky. I've never been totally in love with this. Okay. I feel like it limits me. I like to carry a lot of baits. It's just who I am. I mean, I use one glide bait all day long, but if I have 25 of them with me, it's I'm happy. Okay. And that's just how it's going to be. So now I got my zipper here. I zip it up. And I usually leave it open a little bit so I can breathe a little bit. And look at this. Look how I can put this right in a hatch in my boat, right? I mean,
yeah, it's definitely going to help with your space.
I'm happy.
It's not rigid. It's not, you can put stuff on top of it. You can.
When I saw these sleeves,
yeah,
I thought about this.
Yeah.
Now, these come in two sizes. This is the
large,
extra large.
Extra large. Okay.
There is not a large. $18.49. Now you can put anything you want in here. You can put double rows of plastic bags, plastics and plastics. You can put, miscellaneous boat supply, whatever. There's no limit to this. This is freaking cool, man. And then you got the small. Look at that bad boy right there. Now, what I like with these smaller ones is, and I've been using these from Gamakatsu, the Gamakatsu G-Bag. I've been using those for a while, and they're great. They're absolutely great. Same thing, but you can't see in them. Okay, and that's not a problem. It's a fact. Now here, I can see in here, so like I know this one's going to be my minnow bag because I got my jerk shads here. So when I'm out there shaking that minnow and trying to figure them out, I got all kinds of minnows in here, right? I just go in here and I kind of thumb my way through the directory. I'm like, oh yeah, let me throw that minnow. I have one for my chunks. I'm a big time jig guy. I love my jig fishing. I carry a lot of chunks. Okay. I got one with my chunks. Okay. I used to use binders. I thought that was the way to go. Guess what?
Yeah, the bags are nice.
Teach an old dog a new trick. I got one for my, we have our brush hog style baits in there. Mm-hmm. Mike and I are big time brush hog guys. We brush hogs and game hogs, and now we got the rage hog. Well, we got babies and mid-size and big ones, and
our hatches are looking a lot different now, Nick, over the years, from when we first started with all the hard boxes, and then you kind of got away from some of the hard boxes. You went to some of these bags, and then different styles. So they're really looking different than they ever have, and they're a lot more organized than they've ever been.
Well, it really comes down to these days being the most efficient you can be. And like George is saying, if you can see, it's less guesswork.
So the way we have our skeeter set up is there's two hatches in the front deck. The front hatch is pretty much like 36 and 3700 hard baits. And then there's like a space at the top, and you need a little space to get the boxes in and out. Well, now it has Gamakatsu and different binder bags in there. Well, I just write on them with a silver Sharpie. Brush hogs, chunks, minnows, and so on and so forth. One is Nico worms, whatever. And our jet boat, we have a rod locker on this side of the front deck for plastics. And now we're going to refine that a little bit because we're getting a little carried away. We need smaller packs and more of them. So we're going to have boom, 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 boom. So I saw these at iCast, Nick and I did, and, didn't really make a big deal about it, but the clear.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It makes sense.
Now the Gamakatsu bags.
They do have a tag on the end you can write on, George.
I write on right here with a silver.
Yeah, but on the other, show them on the handle.
Oh yeah,
they got a tag on the end.
Yeah, I ain't doing that. I'm writing.
Yeah,
right
well, yeah, I'm just saying. Some people, the way if they have them racked in there right, they can write on the end of it.
Wire at the top, so it stays. It doesn't close up on you, and you just. So, get organized, people.
Yeah, now's the time to do it.
Get organized.
Now is the time to do it.
Now, these rapid pouches are $12.99 and $18.49 for the big boy. That one's worth about $1,849 with all the glide baits in it. And then I want to show you the rapid pack because I'm just talking about me and Mike. We use a lot of these too. And we have different brands, but here's some new ones for you to look at.
Yeah, good stuff.
So they also came out with a line of rapid pouches. Rapid pack or rapid pouch? This is rapid pouch.
Yeah.
I gave you the price for the pack for the pouch. It's within $1. So it's close enough. Look at that. Same concept. Open that up. Put your bags in there. There's gussets on them, so they open up. You see when you get them expanded? And you can just put your bags in there and leaf through them. The big boy.
And it's a nice heavy duty plastic too, Nick.
Yeah, and you can put like for your spring fishing where it's cold out, the water's cold, you fall in or something, you can put like a little change of clothes in there too. Or whatever.
I don't think they're waterproof, but they're a watertight zipper.
Well, I'm putting them in waterproof boat hatches.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's like almost like a sealing zipper.
It's going to take a lot.
Yeah.
So there you go. Storage. Now, I do have something else, guys. Getting back to these swim baits. Now, one of my favorites is the Clutch Eco. It's not a big monster glide bait, but it's I'll tell you, it's very effective. But one of the problems with it is it needs a little tuning. Needs a little more weight in some situations. Shallow water, take it out of the pack, tie it on, rock and roll. But you get into some deeper water where you want it to I like to have them just where I can see them. If I can see 3, 4 feet, 5 feet deep, I want them down there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have treble wire from 6 cents. This stuff's great. And it's lead wire on a spool. And you can just come right in here. And just wrap it around that hook like that. And without sticking the hooks in your hand. When you get it where you want it, just kind of tear it. Because what that'll do is it'll kind of bond it together. And the cool thing about this stuff is, as you're fishing and getting dialed in, you can wrap more on the back hook. You can wrap more on the front hook. You can take some off.
A little off.
Whatever you need. It's a great product. It comes in a 3-foot roll. I mean, right there we used about 1 inch. Okay. So you can do a lot of baits with a 3-foot roll. And
it's one of them hard to find products. When you talk about, you hear guys wrapping lead around their treble hooks. Go try to find some of it somewhere. It's hard to find.
$6.99. You're going to do a ton of baits with this.
Yeah.
This is one of them things, and then you just toss it in your pack. Good to go.
Good to go.
So, guys, we had, how Tackle Talk is. We're going to discuss some stuff.
Well,
We're
nice.
not just going to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got to talk about it. Some of the nice stuff one of the nice things that we're doing now with Tackle Talk is we can go in the comments of the show, and we have all the links for all this stuff. So you guys can go back through and look and see and click on it. And oh yeah, that's what they were talking. Oh, I really see how that is. You really see the pictures much better on there, and look at the colors, really cool. Nick does a great job, but we're kind of limited to hands and holding and that kind of stuff. And that'll show you, give you the colors really good. That's the big thing, is seeing the colors and seeing the stuff that you like to do. But those links are in the description. You can click on them. It's good to reference back to it. At different times.
Not bad for some high-tech rednecks. I'm just telling you.
Right on. All right. Well, you know what, George? We're going to move right into our favorite part of the show. Our second favorite part of the show. I'm sorry. Our second favorite part of the show is Rig of the Week.
Oh, it is.
And we're going to discuss rig of the week.
Very good.
I was doing good, but then everybody was telling me they couldn't hear shit. And here it turned out that little wire back here was pulled out just a fuzz here, and we were missing it. And then Nick was like unhooked from the microphone. He had the faulty microphone.
Well, we're just having all kinds of problems tonight.
Yeah, when you set up, you don't want to set up with the one with the X. We give that to our guests.
Our other podcast, whichever guy we don't want to listen to, we give him that one
because it sounds funny.
He's over there just we're like, it's like the Charlie Brown.
Yeah. It's like you're in a tin can somewhere talking.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is Rig of the Week brought to you by Nomad Designs. Great makers, a great tackle, and our favorite jig, the Wee Bit jig that Greg DePalma has designed, and the machete jig, the swim jig that we've been talking about. And Nick, you were throwing it this past weekend.
Yeah, that's a great jig.
Yeah,
I mean, he really did a great job on both of them. But the machete, I put some work into that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So plus they make a great line of hard baits, square bills, deep divers, a whole line of a system of rattling baits, a lipless system. That's really cool. So check them out now. Everybody who likes and shares and comments and then put in there at Nomad Designs freshwater. Is that right?
All right. So with it in this
can't be happening.
In this live
like
right
impossible.
now, what you want to do is you want to comment below at Nomad Designs. You're going to tag Nomad Designs.
Yeah.
Then what you're going to do is you're going to like, and then you're going to share this post into your feed.
Yeah.
And that's going to get you into the drawing.
Yeah. And if you guys do that right now, you're going to have all your buddies come into this great show, Tackle Shop Live, and they're going to be like, dude, thanks so much for turning me on to this great freaking show. You're the best, man. Way to go, dude. And you're going to be a hero. So tell all your buddies to come in right now and then hit that thing. And you might be the winner of a $25 gift card that you can use in sfttackle.com or in the shop here. And this week's winner, boy, it's 50-50, George.
You can do it.
This week's winner for the Nomad Designs $25 gift card is
on his game.
There it is. Ed Ranowski.
Oh!
Ed Ranowski, $25 gift card winner. Long time listener, one of the OGs. There you go, Ed. You won it. The $25 gift card. You can come in here. I know you'll be here on Saturday, so we'll hook you up in the shop.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
So congratulations to you. But if everybody does that and puts the Nomad Designs in there, and Nick draws it right before the show, and you might get the chance to win a $25 gift card from Nomad Designs. What's the rig of the week there, brother?
Well, this one here is a little bit out there. This is out there. This was taught to me by our good friend Greg DePalma several years ago. And it takes a very unique bait and it sets it up for a very unique situation. And when all those stars and collide and planets collide, you are absolutely glad you have it. So we're going to take, and this is a Nomad bait. This happens to be a Nomad bait.
Yeah.
So this bait is called a Vertrex. It's made by Nomad. It comes in multiple sizes. It's originally a saltwater bait, adapted to freshwater. It's very heavy for its size. Like this is the 95. This is 4/5 of an ounce. So it's essentially over 3/4 of an ounce.
Mm-hmm.
And it's soft.
Yeah, plastic.
It's a lipless combination of a lipless and a blade bait. Now, I took the split ring off here and I took the back hook off of here just to speed things up. right? So I took those off, right? To be a split ring up here. Because we're going to modify this bad boy. Now, I want you guys to, like, start drinking the Kool-Aid on this one, okay?
It's a cool rig.
So this bait is a silent, lipless, soft body TPE over top of the lead and the rigging apparatus, okay? So this is a very tight wobble. And normally we just take it out of the pack and fish it. These are BKK hooks. This is a premium primo bait.
Silent vibration.
Yeah, normally we just tie it on. It's real tight. We yo-yo it a lot. And they eat it, okay? I actually used a smaller size most of the time. It's about a half ounce. I grabbed the bigger one just to see it a little better. I mean, you can cast this thing all the line off your reel. So,
yeah,
you know, the shad colored ones we throw at school and fish. We always have one laying rigged up. So let me repeat. I took the split ring off. I got my Texas tackle pliers here. I took the split ring off. I took this hook off here. And now I'm going to take this hook off here. I'm going to grab my little pliers here. Very important to hold them the right way. I always get backwards when I'm trying to do something for the camera. So I like to get that split ring right there. Open it up with my pliers and then just wind her off of there. Okay. Now we have no hooks. We're not going to hook anything. We're not going to get snagged. Now, prepare. Take our needle nose pliers. Grab that bait firmly. And twist it 1/4 of a turn. Could I have some line, sir?
Oh, yes.
Something heavy. Yeah. I just need a chunk of it. This is your line coming from your fishing rod. You're going to go through that eye. You now have a free sliding son of a
Buckets, George.
son
buckets.
of a biscuit. Free sliding. So when you're fighting these fish, they got no leverage, okay? Tie on your treble hook. You can size it up if you wish. We're obviously going to do this out of the just to keep time right? Just keep time right. You can go up a size.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
You don't have to, but you can. You can go up a size because I'm going to show you why. See, what we're going to do here in this early season is we're going to kind of slow roll and yo-yo this through grass. We're going to yo-yo this through like places where you want to yo-yo a trap, but you know you're kissing it goodbye. This bad boy doesn't get tied up too good. All right. Let me get my stuff together here. Take this like this. Leave the split ring on. Okay. Take that like that. And just tuck that point in the back. Like that. I know. But it's Greg DePalma. Greg taught me this one. And, you know, he gave me one of them South Jersey speeches, you know, like don't show it to anybody. I said, I won't. So I had it rigged up on my countertop here. If you've ever been in the shop, I have like 2 or 3 big setups with like 50, 60 baits all rigged up. I put that on there because he actually did this in one of his seminars. I've stolen this from him. And now you have no hooks grabbing the grass. You might get a little bit here, but you want that. Really nasty, snaggy rock.
I knew it.
This thing comes through there. And you just, it's tight. Falls real hard on the nose. Falls real hard on the nose. And trust me, for the spring, you most definitely want this rigged up. And this is called the Nomad Vertrex Sneaky Jig. And I give all the compliments to Greg on this one, but I was taken by this a couple years ago when he showed me this. And I can promise you, if you get in my jet boat, mine and Mike's jet boat, hanging up on the carpet, or these things cut off with knots tied in them so the hooks don't fall out.
Yeah, they're always ready to go.
They're just hanging there.
It's nice because, Nick, when you're up there jigging, sometimes you're kind of getting way down in those rocks and stuff. That thing, man, goes right through it. And, it's like, I hate silver buddy fishing because the fact that you just snag up all the time. Well, this thing here really goes through that stuff really nice.
Yeah, you fish this like a blade bait. You fish this like your yo-yo in a trap. You can wind this through some pretty nasty cover.
Yeah, it works with the small. It works with the smaller version. That's the one that George and I usually use, is the 1/2 ounce version.
When that fish eats that, boom, free slide, no leverage.
Yep.
The Nomad Vertrex Sneaky Jig. And you'll find out that this area back in here where you're tucking that point, it doesn't tear. It's just like, it's just easier to put that point in there. It just pops right out of there.
Yeah.
Is that badass or what?
That's awesome.
I mean, badass.
That's awesome. That's a great rig. It's a great rig. So there you go. Rig of the week. Courtesy of Greg DePalma, although he's probably going to be like, what? What'd you do?
We always give credit to the author.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, we do.
So we appreciate that
That's
very
bad
much.
to the bone, isn't it, boys?
Yep, absolutely.
Good job, George.
Next week we got one next week that's going to be like, it's going to be like a DIY project.
Do it yourself.
I can't wait for next week's. Next week we're like building stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to love it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, it's that time of year, Nick.
Oh yeah.
We're coming up on that time of year where we're going to be busting out the crankbaits, and we're going to be throwing these crankbaits, and we want to do a little discussion on these things, George.
Well, it's kind of like this. The concept is this. Do you still crank like you used to? They're saying cranking is dying because of the forward-facing sonar guys. I don't necessarily agree with that in all circumstances, but like river fishing, it didn't change because we really don't use forward-facing and shallow river fishing. You can't.
Mm-mm.
But in other circumstances, it did change. But that's not the premise of the show. That's one premise. The second premise is, are you still believing in the fact that ice out is too cold to crank? Because if you are, you're going to need to modify your brain process. It's never, ever too cold to crank unless the water is hard. Now, I will say this. If you get like a radical cold front in the middle of winter, I don't care if you're cranking or anything. It's too cold to catch fish.
It's tough.
You're gonna like these boys were busting their ass today on that Pro Tour, MLF Pro Tour on Smith Lake. Or no, MPFL on Smith Lake. They're busting
championship.
They were struggling this morning, you know. They had a big giant cold snap, and it was tough.
Yeah.
But eventually they started biting, and a lot of them were cranking and chattering and lipless cranking. But, you know, the premise of this is, do you still crank like you used to? Do you think it's too cold to crank in your part of the world when it's like essentially the end of winter? Because don't. And let's talk about how we accomplish these things. The other thing I think that is often said and seldom done is cranking in places where most won't. Okay? You're not going to lose as many crankbaits as you envision. All right? As a matter of fact, you're not going to lose hardly any crankbaits. It's not a common day when you go out there and lose 2 or 3 crankbaits. It's not common. That doesn't happen.
I go after mine, Nick. How about you?
I go after them too. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, there's sometimes you lose a bait.
Yeah,
but you're not losing as many baits as you might think. So if you're not going to lose that many baits and you want to follow the guideline of putting that bait where most can't or won't, then that should give you some confidence. So let's talk about cold. Let's talk about characteristics of crankbaits and cold. And we're not going to hang up on this because we've only said it 80,000 times. So, you know, one of the best.
Oh, it's you.
One of the best is a shad wrap. Very, very narrow profile. This bait right here is literally over 10 years old and has caught untold amounts of big fish. But I don't use it when the water warms up. It becomes less effective and, should I say, a terrible choice. But you put me in 30s and low 40s, and I'm going to hurt your feelings with a shad wrap, okay? Or a couple of baits that are similar to that. There's not a lot. Like, because if you think that and I've done this test over and over again, if you think that a fritz side in mid to upper 30s will work, let me help you. It won't. I don't care if you're on the 5th day of a warming trend. Or a
hot steel there, Thomas.
Little John, flat side, nah.
And why is that, George?
It's too much.
Yeah, it's too much action. Too much vibration, too much movement.
Now, I have found one that does. The only other one I've found, besides, you know, homemade shad wraps and shad wraps, and this is an X-Wrap shad here. This is a plastic shad wrap. This is a hardliner from Strike King. This is extremely narrow, subtle.
That is a very subtle bait.
You got to pull your rod.
Yeah.
You got to pull your rod to feel this bait.
I actually was fishing it and I'm like, I don't like this thing, George. And George is like, oh man, I know where that's going to work really well. And then when it got cold, that's when it started really working.
When it's cold,
you want less.
You want less.
You don't want this. You want just this nice little slow, you know, tail wiggle, this little slow movement.
It's like the defensive coach says, give me more of this and give me less of this. Okay? That means penetrate and get the quarterback.
Yeah.
And don't screw around on the edge.
And
this baby, you want this thing. I can barely feel this thing wobble.
Yeah.
And I can barely feel this thing wobble.
Yeah.
And they frickin' eat it.
Yeah.
So super cold.
Less movement.
Super
subtle. super subtle.
George,
use
And-
the
what
words.
would be the high end of temperature on that bait that you have?
Well, that's hard to say because a lot of it has to do with weather patterns. But if you remember, guys, and I know there's got a lot of you are on here are long time peeps. If you go back 2 or 3 years, I'm going to say 3 years at least, and it could be 4 years, or at least 3, we did a wintertime show about this time of the year.
Yeah.
And we talked about, this show was more focused. We talked about winter crankbait fishing. And since you haven't heard it yet today, I'll remind you, we talked about the importance of the 3-day rule, stable to improving weather. You know, and then we went out that weekend and we caught the living fire out of them on that bait. Big fish, lots of them. We took pictures of them in front of the Hummingbird, put them on social media. It was like 34 degrees water temp.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when's the top end of that? You know, I mean, it's hard to put a number on it because if you the springtime can change rapidly. But
It might be like you're fishing 48-degree water temperature with your other crankbaits, and then a cold front comes and knocks everything out. Then you can go back to that bait right there, and it starts working again. You know, so you got to kind of take your temperature in stride there. But the fact of the matter is, when you're fishing in the cold weather, there was a fellow on here at Connor, I think it was Connor. You're fishing in the winter, and he was throwing a crankbait here just the other week on the river, you know, and didn't get a bite on it. Well, you know, sometimes you're not going to get a bite on it, but you might not have fished the right crankbait. You might have been fishing too aggressive a crankbait. I have a feeling that you were throwing a square bill or a flat side or something like that, and it was just too much. And then the other thing is retrieve on those, George. It's when you're fishing in that kind of water temperature, you use your rod for your retrieve. You don't necessarily crank the bait. You just kind of throw it out there and you pull with your rod, you know, and then you reel down and you pull with your rod. Let it set there a second, you know, and then you reel up and you pull with your rod. And that's how you fish it. Cast takes a little while. It's a real slow, methodical way of fishing it. And all of a sudden it just gets heavy. And a lot of times it's no bite. It just gets heavy. And then you just set into them.
And it depends on the fishery. Like tidal water fisheries and river fisheries, you'd be amazed at a 3-day stable weather pattern in the winter, end of winter, how shallow those fish get. And yeah, you can catch them on a jig, you can catch them on a finesse bait, but they're actively feeding. And when they're actively feeding, we're not we're winding on them.
Yeah.
We're putting the winder together.
Sure.
But when you get past that stage, then you need to get into your traditional springtime flat sides. And, you know, there's so many good ones out there. Here's just 3 of our all-time favorites. And these baits are freaking deadly in traditional pre-spawn months. That's the Chick Magnet. The one in the center is the Little John. And then on this side is the Fritz side. And I mean, these are just 3 of the best. Now there's a bunch more, okay? And we're not here trying to like cause controversy.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
But this is how we feel. This is how we feel. We're being real on this.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we tie on. No matter where we're at. We can be tidal, river, lake.
And we go through just about those colors too. We do the red, you know.
That's number 1.
Yeah, we do your red like all the time, but you get a little stain in the water. You definitely want to throw red. But then you also got to mix in your shads. I mean,
yeah, for sure. You get around, there's some areas that have a ton of shad in them, and they don't like the winter.
Mm-mm.
I don't know if you saw that tournament that Hank Cherry won, that elite.
Yeah.
Those birds, they were eating shad that were dying because it was so cold.
Yeah.
Those shad were dying. They were floating up to the surface, spinning around like they were on 4 Locos. And they were dying. And these freaking bass were just puking them up, gorging on them. They had to clean them out of their live wells because they were sucking their vents shut. So
Yeah.
shad colors come into play.
Yeah, they do. They definitely.
That bad boy right there.
You know what's funny? I hear a lot of people sleep on the orange. Like they're like, that ain't true. Well, I can tell you what. So last year, George and I, we were on the river and we put a heck of a bag together that day. And it all started with that orange crankbait. And
Catches them, man.
It catches them. It does catch them.
It doesn't necessarily have to be dirty water. That's a lot of people think it has to stain dirty water for red to work.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It's just one of them colors that it triggers bites in the springtime. It just that's why you see a lot of people throw red. It's a triggering color. It just triggers bites. It whatever they see that, and then they roll up on it. You saw that tournament down on I think it was on Rayburn or one of them where they were fishing those big flats, and it was clear water, and they were throwing that orange chatterbait in the clear water
with an orange blade,
and an orange trailer. I mean, the thing looked like like a UFO coming through the water, but it triggered, and the guy was even saying this. I was throwing other colors, but this one's triggering the bites. And it's just a triggering effect in the early spring.
Here's a question for you guys, for the viewers and listeners. They're visioning what you're saying in their head.
Yeah.
But these are more like it sounds finessey. Are you using finesse line and equipment, or are you using what you would later on?
That depends where I'm fishing.
Okay.
Because I subscribe fully to the theory of I can get it back most of the time. I mean, this crankbait right here, that's in my box, which I haven't thrown in a long time. This crankbait is 20 years old. And you can see the hook marks on it. Okay? Look at this one. I mean, that hook's almost cut through that thing. I'll get them back. You can get them back. Okay? Make yourself up some pocket knockers. 2-ounce disc sinkers, number 5 duo lock snaps. Get over top of it, clip it on your line, and drop it. It's like 98% of the time. This thing's been retrieved back to the surface. Like, I don't even know how many sets of hooks I put on this thing. But the point is, you gotta get them snagged. You gotta get them in where the fish live. So that case, shallow water, I don't mess around, man. I go to 15-pound line. Now, if it's more open, like we saw these guys in Rayburn cranking those center of those drains with 8 XDs, they're probably only using 12-pound line.
For fishing our river around here, Nick, I fish with 12-pound in the spring. You're fishing shallow. The fish are. The water's up, especially if the water's up, they're moving up shallow and you're banging into the rocks and you're digging and popping around and you're not really worrying about performances of depth and that kind of thing. So at 12, I don't have problems with breaking off. I don't have problems with, a fish getting me pulled down in the rocks and cutting me off or anything like that. So I can really get them done. And we're throwing these baits into bushes. We're throwing them into that hard to go stuff. So you want that little bit extra horsepower. You could even have an argument to say 15. And
I fish a lot of 15.
And I wouldn't have a problem with that. I wouldn't have a problem with 15. But I'm mostly a 12-pound guy, but I would not have a problem with 15 at all because I'm not worried about depth because I'm banging. As long as I'm banging and banging the bottom and working the bottom, especially in the springtime, creating that trigger for the bite and tricking that fish into biting, that's, the line is go as heavy as you can, get the fish in the boat. Let's do that.
Well, the other thing I do if it's a tough bite, I'm talking like these guys are facing today, I'll drop back down to 10-pound test so fast, I'll make your head spin. And I don't break fish off, period, on a crankbait. I don't break fish off. Now, I do retie often when I'm on that lighter line, but when it's clear water, cold front, tough bite, you got to stack the deck in your favor. Now, if it's a a pre-spawn warming trend and they're moving up, I'm getting the big line out, the big rod out, and I'm getting away from these flat sides for the most part. And I'm getting into something that's got a little wobble to it. I mean, I'm not really going to go into it, but you can see my love affair with bomber fire tigers. Okay. There's a dozen of them or more right there, different sizes. Now, I will throw those pretty much from, traditional pre-spawn temperatures in the 50s until it's 50s in the fall. Dirty water. That's one of the best dirty water crankbaits I've ever thrown. And I'm not a Pratco fan. I like that crankbait. But the most important, and I might be stepping out on a limb here a little bit, and if I offend you, put it on the social. Big boy, I can take it. The most critical pre-spawn crankbait, traditional pre-spawn crankbait, is your DT series. Specifically, your 6s and your 8s. All about it. I want you to go back and I want you to look at the tournament results from the last 3 Major League Tour events, Elites and Bass Pro Tour. I want you to look at the last 4. I want you to look at back-to-back tournaments dominated by DT6s. DT6, DT8, same size body. DT10, DT12, same size body. But the 6 and the 8 for the shallow water guy, and we're pretty much focusing on shallow water.
Yeah, this time of year.
This is unbelievable. It's not quite as wobbly as a square bill. It's a little more subtle, but it's got enough water movement to it. But it really is great on those pre-spawn fish. I mean, really good. And, whether you're fishing a river or whether you're fishing a reservoir that has a dam pulling water, like the Gunnersville Lake tournament, they're pulling the hell out of water on that lake. Now we're going to talk about something pre-spawn, cranking, pulling water, whether it's natural flow or the subtle flow of pulling water. Now we're going to talk about something that many people struggle with. It's called seams. Look at Ben Buckhunter on there with the Fire Tiger bomber.
Oh, yeah.
Ben Buckhunter is probably the only other person I've ever met that carries more Fire Tiger bombers with him than I do. And that's a badge of honor.
Yeah, it is.
Well, let's get back to these seams now. So if you don't know what a seam is, if you have an object that is interrupting the current flow, okay, but you can't see it. It's underwater. It could be a bridge abutment. Oh, well, okay, there you can see it. Let's do that. That's a better example. So a bridge. You got a bridge going across an arm of a lake, and the dam's running hard. It's springtime. There's a lot of water. They're pulling water, and you can see the current on that bridge. Okay, it might be subtle, but you can still see it. And that current comes in and it hits the bridge, right? Hits the bridge. We call this the push on the front. The water hits, and it's like being stacked up. There's a calm spot here. It's the push. And then, of course, the water goes around the bridge. Now, this is the important part, people. Comes around the bridge, right? And it's eddying here, right? Pretty self-explanatory. And then it comes together. This is the seam going down through here like this. And that seam, depending on the level of current, that seam could be a couple 100 yards long. Like if you have the perfect scenario, and those fish with the combination of bottom structure and those currents kind of like not fully blending together yet. Okay. That's what a seam is. You split the current. Seam starts here. Seam goes, seam goes, seam goes. And then all of a sudden it's all homogenized together. No seam. So seam from here to here. Now you have to fish that seam correctly. Okay. Now if it's your traditional pre-spawn, this is where your DTs come in. 6 foot dives 6 foot. 8 foot dives 8 foot, so on and so forth. And they're perfect for this. You need to have your boat out in the current. And you need to be casting upstream and pulling that bait along that seam. So you're actually going to cast into the eddy on the edge of it. And you're going to crank that seam or like you can have a seam where there's an eddy too. That's a seam that hasn't come together yet. So it's all seam and then it comes together. All seam and then it comes together. You want to get that crankbait and pull it with that. Because all those bait fish are using the edge of that seam. They're right on that edge of that current. And that's to satisfy their desire to not burn up their energy. And then bass know that. So they're in the current. But they're using a rock or they're just freaking fired up. And they're just like Vikings out there, man, just slaying and maiming and killing schools of shad. Mm-hmm. And your crankbait's coming in there. So you're going to learn to need to read water pre-spawn. I mean, it's always important, but we're specifically talking about this pre-spawn cranking with a DT. You need to get that together because that is going to change your whole entire year.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So
something important about that seam too is, they'll get on a part of that seam and they'll really use a certain portion of that seam. So they might use the sides up by the eddy pocket. That might be like the hot spot for a certain part of the day. But then, as the day goes on, they may pull all the way back in that seam. So it's really important to fish the whole seam and really understand the tail end of that seam.
Well, and I've seen it on, like, we fish a reservoir on the bottom of the river where it's a lake until they pull water, which is like a small Gunnersville. And those seams can be very subtle, but it's, to Mike's point, those fish will all be in the same region of the seam. They might be where it comes together. They might be closer to the object that's dividing the water, even though it's underwater. They might be at the tail end of the seam.
Yeah.
Now, it's pretty easy to figure out if there's a lot of shad around. We're not really talking rocket science here.
Yeah.
But a lot of times pre-spawn fish aren't like on the bait.
Right.
We always talk about find the bait and you find the fish. Well, pre-spawn fish got a little something else going on. And sometimes they get off the bait, or they might be eating crawfish because about the same time as these shad are dying or surviving or whatever it is they're doing, whatever you want to call it, your crawfish are starting to come out in large numbers. So a lot of times if you live well the fish that are eating shad and you see the amount of crawfish puked up in your live well, they're also taking advantage of that. And that carries through spring. And a lot of that has to do with two best colors. Because let's go back to talking crankbaits. The two best colors I've ever found in DT, red and crawl. Now there's 5 reds and there's 5 craws. These are my favorite. You pick the ones that work for you. I don't think there's a big difference, but every dog has his day, right? But those two right there, now you're open water cranking more or less. You're fishing seams. You're fishing, flats. You're fishing the edges of flats. I am going, guys, back to a regular crankbait rod. I'm going back to the rods we talked about earlier. I'm going back to the graphite, moderate tapers, medium heavies, the glass, mediums. Open water. Very important.
I think here too is where you want to really talk about retrieve, learning your retrieve and figuring out your retrieve for the day. Everything from chucking it out and just, winding the thing and really just kind of banging and just going real fast to, slowing your pace up a little bit, and dig in and just slowing it up a little bit, and to all the way down to what we call the crawl, where you're just using your rod and you're crawling it, banging, crawling and banging and using your rod, reeling down and just pulling with your rod and banging. And I call that crawling a crankbait. And there's a time and a place for that as well. So speed on your crank is going to play a big role. I mean, catch a fish, look where you caught them, figure out the structure you caught them, what part of the scene, what part of what kind of structure were you on, what depth of water. And then the third thing, and the last thing you want to figure out is how fast was I reeling that bait? Okay. And then you make the next cast and you go, and all of a sudden you catch another one. And then, oh man, I was a much slower retrieve, blah, blah, blah. And then you start to dial that pattern in on this type of structure, on this type of depth with this type of retrieve. And then that's your pattern. That's pattern fishing.
Well, I think the other thing to remember that has to do with spring and pre-spawn. The spawn is multiple stages. And, given the right weather, fish will move up very early. I mean, Nick was just down in Florida. They spawn for 6 months of the year in Florida. And like he said, he could have stayed on that one lake and caught buck bass that were on the beds waiting. They're just waiting. Females were like, something ain't quite right here. It's a cold front coming in, I think I'm going to sit this one out. Well, let's talk about some perspective here now. Really, really focus in on this, okay? This is the most important thing that I think that I could pass on from my many years of bass fishing about spring fishing. Okay, I used to say that my least favorite time of the year to fish was the spawn. That's how I used to say it. Because it's very frustrating. So if you work a full-time job, most of us do, and you get, a day, 2 days a week max to fish, in the spring, it's kind of like putting a dartboard out there and throwing that dart and hitting something that's kind of like telling you what to do that day. You're not in touch with the fish as much as you think you are. And they're moving quickly. Now, let me make my point, okay? Let me make my point. This is a big deal. The actual spawning process of the big fish moving up, spawning, and leaving the nest, it ain't even a day. The big fish, it is not even a day. I have witnessed it with my own eyes on numerous occasions where you're catching them staged up on a drop outside of a spawning area, on a point, on a creek channel turn usually. We're big on that swing, right? And all of a sudden, you're not catching them anymore. You were catching all big fish. You started catching them the day before. You're like, called your buddy up. Oh, dog, I'm on him. Call the boss. Tell him you got something wrong with your eyes. When he asks you what, tell him you don't see yourself coming to work tomorrow. I'm on him. The next morning, boom, crushing them. I know, I'm the man, but you can dab me up a little bit. And then all of a sudden, it's over. They left, and they went up to spawn. They left. They're like, mount up, and they rolled. They went up to spawn. You go up there, and you start looking, you're going to see them cruising. They're looking to pair up.
Hard to catch.
Mark my words.
Hard to catch.
They're going to pair up. They're going to go on to bed. They're going to do their thing. And by the end of the next day, Big Mama, she out. So keep that in mind when you're out there scratching your head, banging your head against the wall. I suck at spring fishing. focus on the pre-spawn fish. You got a couple days, 2-3 days before they roll, and they're all grouped up. They're all there. You know, you watch these tournaments and watch what these guys are doing in these last. Go back and watch the Rayburn Open. Go back and watch the Gunnersville Elite Tournament, and go back and see how when it went down like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
There was long periods of inactivity punctuated with short periods of it don't get no better than this. And that, my friends, is spring fishing.
You know, when I learned that was back when KBD was on his game. It didn't matter if it was a spawn tournament or not. He always went after the pre-spawn and post-spawn because usually those areas were going to be pretty similar. So he had them coming and going.
Yeah.
While everybody else was just focusing on one group of fish. I thought that was very good.
The guy that can follow the fish up and get up on those shallow fish and figure them out, they're special people.
Oh, absolutely.
They're just not everybody can do that. They have countless hours at figuring out those fish. And well, not only that, but just looking for them. They can find them. They're hunters. They can find them better than, you know how I'm not a hunter. I used to walk around in the woods. I did. I
took your gun for a walk.
I walked around the woods, you know, and I pretended like hiding behind a tree and stuff, you know, sitting there doing my thing. But I sucked at hunting. But there's hunters. You know, I have a best friend that shoots one all the time. He shoots multiple deer. He kills everything. You know, he's good at it. He understands deer. He understands that stuff and those that type of stuff. But it's not for everybody. So, but with cranking, whether it be a rattle trap, whether it be a flat side, whether it'll be a square bill. I mean, square bills, KBD 1.5. I mean, how awesome a crankbait that is. That's a bait you can throw, and you can cover water on those spots, on those areas where they're moving from to go there or coming from there to come back and get ready, just like you said, and or post spawn, and they're like taking a minute and just want to eat a couple things because it's stressful up there.
Absolutely.
That was all this craziness. People throwing shit at me all day long. And, so the cranking part, you can cover a lot of that water back and forth and you can catch those fish. And all you have to do is add your lip to it, to the right depth of water. Whether it's a flat side, tight wobbler, a wide wobbler, and whether or not you're a rattle trap with a lot of vibration and a lot of noise, or you're yo-yoing and ripping it and putting all this stuff together is super ultra effective. And last year I had an exceptional crankbaiting year. It seemed like I caught fish on crankbaits everywhere I went, all the time. And it's just a bait that can be a staple in your box, especially in this springtime part of the year.
It's big time in the spring.
And
a lot of people don't crank in the spring.
No, it's like such a powerful tool. And like I said, speed, when you start out with the cold, really mess with the speed and really mess with that crawl, crawling that crankbait across the bottom using your rod. And you'll be amazed how you're just kind of pulling it along and you're feeling the wobble and you're banging into rocks, and all of a sudden it just gets mushy. It's not even a vicious, it's like weird. They just roll over on it and open their mouth and suck it in. They don't even like smash it. They don't even want it.
You have weight on your rod.
I honestly don't even think they want it. I think that glancing it as triggering that bite, and it just triggers them into striking.
And one thing too about the pre-spawn is, especially that early to mid, if you catch fish in an area, come back to that area at some point of that day, because it never fails.
Never fails.
It never fails. There's a reason why those fish are there.
Yeah.
It always works.
Yeah. And, we didn't really get smashing into color and stuff, but over the years, George and I, talking with all these different people, taught us that, when you reel a fish in and you have him by the back hook and he's way out here on the lip, and and you got them in the net, and it's like, oh man, I just skin hooked that thing, and you fire out again, and you're fishing, and also you catch another one, and it's barely got them in the lip. Something isn't right. And one of the things that may not be right is color. And that's where color variation starts to come into play, from going from a red crawl to a brown crawl. And then all of a sudden you catch a fish and it's, you got the second treble hook down in them. Then you're going, okay, all right, I'm getting dialed in on this. The next fish you catch, he's the same way. Then you can say, okay, that's the color they really want. Because honestly, when they have it in their back lip like this, they don't even want it. They're hitting it because you glanced off something and they just triggered on it. But when you go to and you start dialing your colors in and where they actually are feeding on it and grabbing it, then you know that you got it right. And that's something that people don't talk about a lot. They don't use that information a lot, and that's something you should. And it could be going from a red to a chartreuse, or a red to a brown, or a shad to a brown, or a brown to a shad. So you got to mess with that a little bit. I just wanted to bring that up too.
Oh, that's good, because if they swallow it down their gullet, you got the right thing going on.
Oh yeah, and for sure. And when they want it, they'll get it. And those guys have got to get dealing those pliers out. Then you're doing something right.
Both hooks is best.
Yep.
So that's some late winter pre-spawn crank and talk. But remember, don't back down. Put your bait in places where others won't. Put your bait in places that you normally wouldn't, and trust the process. When you're coming through a brush pile, or you're cranking down the length of a submerged tree, when that bait gets tight, pause. Give it a second. That bait, when these baits float up, okay? So let's say we're cranking along, and it gets tight. Okay? Pause, give it some slack. They don't float this way. They float backwards. And then bring it down in again. And then bring it down in again. Make that contact. Work it through that cover. It's gonna work out for you. You're not gonna lose more than a couple crankbaits in a hard spring. Carry that pocket knocker. Trust the process.
You know what they call that, George? Patience. When you're reeling that bait into that structure, you get it. You get kind of like worried and antsy, and you're trying to get it through there. If you just calm down and be patient, hit that thing, and then just give it that slack, and then work it, give it that slack. Patience. It's hard. I'm Rammy.
You ain't cut out for that.
Well, I am, but it's something I had to learn, because I'm Rammy. Banging that stuff and hanging up, George.
I just think it's, we're going beyond the basics here. We're really delving into, like, not just seeing if they'll eat a crankbait, knowing they'll eat a crankbait, and then figuring out the crankbait bite.
Yeah, which one they want.
Essentially, there's very few days where there's not a crankbait bite.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to continue this as a series, right? So we're going to wait a few weeks here.
I'm going to buy 5 more crankbait rods this year.
Yeah, we're going to wait a few weeks here. We're going to come back and we're going to talk to you about, like, shallow cranking, like square bill cranking, like, a lot of questions that we asked. You see these big square bills, like everybody throws a 1.5. You see a 2.5. When? Why? A 4.0. When? Why? We're going to get into all that.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about cranking grass. When we were talking about cranking pre-spawn, you're okay trapping in grass. You're perfectly okay trapping in grass, but why aren't you okay cranking in grass? I mean, you don't like cleaning the grass off the hooks, but you'll trap in the grass. That's a mindset, right? So absolutely crank grass. Now, one of the places where that shines for me is tidal water. You know, tidal water in spawning season is a little different. They seem to spawn in like grass beds and like colonies of fish. And the pre-spawn fish are a little deeper. I love, you know, the low percentage tide. The low percentage tide is high water. I freaking love having a couple hours at high water where I can crank that grass, and I'm picking a square bill that's going to get me into that grass. I want in that grass, and I want to rip that square bill out of that grass. And I'm going to continue that from the early stages of the spawn into the summer. By that time, the grass is getting a little too
it gets to a point where you can't do it.
it's too much.
You can't do it. Yeah.
But I mean, one of the biggest bags Mike and I ever caught, ever. And I'm going to tell you right now, he either caught 4 of them or 5 of them. I might have just been net man. I don't know. But one of the biggest bags that we ever caught was early pre-spawn in grass. I mean,
yeah.
And cold, dirty water.
Yeah.
So again, the whole premise, we had 3 things that we said to you at the beginning of the show, the segment. 3 premises. How cold do you crank? Pre-spawn, putting your bait in harm's way. I mean, do you crank? We asked you, do you still crank as much as you used to? Or did you never crank a lot? Okay, let's revisit those. We talked about the cold. It's never too cold. It's all about patterns. And that's true. That's freaking true. We talked about the pre-spawn, putting your bait in places that you normally. We're talking about cranking grass, okay? Dirty, cold water. That's the worst case scenario, right? That was a 25-pound bag. 5 bites in 8 hours, but it weighed 25 pounds. Okay? All 5 of them came on an oversized square bill. Okay? A 3.0. Okay? Oversized half-ounce, 3/4-ounce square bill. Ripping grass. You couldn't see the grass. The grass was barely up. The water was muddy for a month. We were actually following track lines from the previous year and using 2D sonar to zig in and out of the grass. And 25 pounds, 5 fish. So you're not doing that.
Put us on them.
You're not doing that on a lot of other things.
No.
You're not doing that on a lot of our. The crankbait produces those bites that the other baits are not. I know the chatterbait. Listen,
Crankbait catches giants.
I'm a chatterbait guy, but let me tell you something.
Crankbait catch giants.
That crankbait in the spring
catches giants.
It's hanging meat. It's like a cold storage for hams.
Yeah.
A guy comes in this shop and he goes, guys, I listened to your show. I want to start cranking. You go, okay, what depth are you cranking? Well, my lakes where I'm fishing is 6 foot deep. What depth of crankbait do you suggest that person use to hit that 6 foot or that 7 foot?
I mean, if it's traditional springtime cranking, I'm going with a DT8. You know, because I like to make bottom contact.
And I guess that's what the question is. The question is, a guy will go, okay, I'm going to take a 6-footer because I want to go 6 feet. That's probably not.
Go a little more.
Yeah, you're going to want to go a little bit more.
Well, and the other thing is that I think is so.
You see it on the chat. I mean, everybody is saying you're banging, you're catching.
Oh.
If you're not banging, you're not catching.
Well, that's not always true.
But that's pretty
The other
much
thing I was going to say is there's certain circumstances, and it happens a lot with smallmouth in clear water, where you don't want to be hitting the bottom. You want to be using, and it's more of a post-spawn thing, but you want to use speed, and you want to keep it above them.
Trigger.
And it happens a lot up north in the northern fisheries, the real clear water fisheries.
Yeah.
Happens a lot on the Great Lakes, where they will absolutely mash a crankbait, but you gotta rock and roll and keep it above them.
Not in this period of time we're talking about.
No.
This period of time we're talking about,
it's
you
nothing
gotta
to do with that.
you got to be banging the bottom.
It has nothing to do
and
with
you got to
that.
be beating it up, and you got to be glancing, and you got to be clicking, and you got to be ripping it out of the grass, and you got to be pulling it, because you're triggering strikes a lot of the times. There's times where this fish just all they're thinking about is, like, how can I get up there and get to my spawning bed? And they don't want to eat, but then something comes by and it's just like, oh, and you know, getting on the outside lip, man. They just roll up on it. They don't even want it. It was you glancing off that rock. I triggered it. I listened to a podcast with a scientist, George.
Oh, snap.
And the scientist, his study was, what is that trigger? What do you call that? Is that trigger? Is it a reaction? He had all these different. Did you call it a trigger? Do you call it a reaction? Do you call it a whatever? A pattern?
Is he talking about fishing or
fishing?
Quitting drinking?
I'm being serious here.
I'm just asking.
No, I'm being serious. But scientifically, he was trying to figure that out. What it is with fish, and whether you call it a reaction or a trigger. He seemed to think that it's more important to trigger the bite, to have a triggering mechanism. And in a hunting crankbait, for instance, how a hunting crankbait catches more fish than a crankbait that just goes straight in. Banging off a rock catches more fish than a crankbait that just goes straight in. That kind of thing. And he was studying this, and Ken Duke had him on Fishing After Dark, and it was a great. And Jacob Wheeler was on there, and they had a tournament angler, they had a scientist, and then the guy Lee Sisson. So they had a crankbait designer who designs crankbaits to do something, and it was all about that whole thing, and then that science was all brought into there, and it's triggering mechanisms and banging and ripping, and then or like you said, not hitting the bottom, but just reeling along, stopping, popping the rod, reeling it, stopping and popping the rod, making something that you're just kind of using speed to attract them, and then stopping them and popping the rod and making it just kind of do something different to trigger the fish that's tracking it. You need that triggering device. So
it's like a lot of
cool stuff.
It's like a lot of stuff. We learned a lot with forward-facing sonar.
Yeah.
We learned a lot. We learned that we don't need to crank as slow as we used to crank.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the many things that we learned. But, this cranking conversation will continue in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
To a more shallow hand-to-hand combat type cranking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will. And then, a period of time after that, we're going to go to an offshore, big old 7-11 8-foot rod, 6 and 8 and 10 XD type cranking. And, we're just going to keep leaning into this conversation here and there.
But for that fella that was out a couple of weeks ago or a couple of days ago fishing, our local river here, and the ice just came off, get yourself one of these crankbaits that have minimal movement, and then just work it a lot slower. You're where you're fishing, you're close to the shop. Come into the shop, we'll talk to you about it and help you kind of develop that really cold water cranking thing, because George is really good at it, and we've done really well doing it, but it's a really specific way of doing it. We can help you with that. Also, all the new guys that popped in here, thank you so much for stopping by. We do this every Thursday night at 7:00. So this is Tackle Shop Live, 7:00 every Thursday night for the guys that were asking on here. We love it. We do it. It's all this kind of talk. It's fun. It's we have a couple beers. It's a good time for us, and it's all in spreading information to help you catch more fish. Information that we've learned, information that we picked up from friends and acquaintances and people we've talked to over the years, and it's been excellent that way. So,
and Mike, that's on Facebook and YouTube.
It's on Facebook and YouTube. Yes. Yep. Tackle Shop Live. So check it out. And Make sure you share, like, and comment to get your vote in for the Nomad Designs. And don't forget, next weekend.
Don't miss next week's show either.
Yeah, next week's show, Thursday night, and
We're
then
gonna have some guests on.
yeah, and it's right before the giant cabin fever sale, which you don't want to miss. Huge. So, all right, till next time, we'll catch you on the next Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day you called me up, you told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down or I am blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. Hopeless lover. I woke up all soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck. I'm going crazy from just the thought of you.